So, Variety, Supergirl braces for $100 million loss. What DC Studios should learn from its box office bomb. So, this is from June 29th, 2026. Initial box office results for Supergirl would suggest that audiences are in fact writing off the film and continue to reject lesser known comic book protagonists. So here it goes on to talk about the opening weekend. Let's have a look at some updated figures for that. So this is over on Box Office Watch. So we've got Supergirl on day 10 of the domestic total, 58.5 million. The Marvels at day 10 was on 65 million. Thunderbolts, which was also considered a failure last year, was on 128 million at day 10 of its domestic total. If we look at the graph of those figures, here's the Thunderbolts, the green one is the Marvels, and here is Supergirl. So that's how big of a financial disaster Supergirl has been. So back to Variety. So after launching below expectations, the big budget film is shaping up to be a money loser for the studio, as well as a major setback for the newly rebooted DC universe. So Supergirl, only the second movie in the DC universe, and just financial, disaster is the only word really. Warner Brothers and DC spent $170 million to produce and roughly $120 million to market the comic book adventure, which takes place in outer space as Supergirl and an alien girl named Ruthye embark on a quest for vengeance and justice. $170 million on a minor character in your second movie. That's insanity. That's why would you spend that much? I don't really get it personally. Those lackluster initial ticket sales are concerning because Supergirl hasn't been widely embraced by the general public, and there's intense competition during the height of summer movie season, which could hobble the film's box office staying power. And as we've seen with those second weekend figures, that's very much been the case. As it goes on to say, lots of other movies at the moment, Minions and Monsters, The Odyssey, which I think is going to make a lot of money, even if it's not Greek in any way. And Spider-Man Brand New Day, trailer looks good for that, kind of looking forward to that, round out the month of July. So DC has tried to bet everything on a very minor character, which Supergirl is, unfortunately, and it's been a failure, basically. This, the Supergirl movie, was always going to be a tough hurdle for DC and Warner Brothers because Supergirl isn't a character that has ever created an event-level blockbuster. Good to see that they understand this. Audience perception of Supergirl was not good. This is just a case of the film wasn't good enough to become an event. Wow, that's quite clear and direct. Exhibitor relations, not sure what that is. Maybe it's some kind of representative for movie theaters, but just saying the film wasn't good enough. Also, I'd say that, yeah, the relationship with the fans is probably another factor as well. So here we've got from the first trailer, so Crypto urinating on a picture of Superman. Now, you could just say that that this is a joke, but in terms of the sort of antagonistic relationship that some filmmakers try to create with the core fan base of comic book movies, is it a joke? Is it really? Are we absolutely sure? I mean, this is the kind of thing that if you genuinely wanted to make a great movie, having someone urinate on your main character is probably not a great idea. I think it's indicative of the attitude. Like I say, it could just be a joke. This kind of stuff was sort of a problem as well. Traditionally, a movie on the scale of Supergirl would need to earn at least $375 million to break even, because theatre owners get to keep about half of box office returns. However, a source close to Supergirl puts the film's break-even number at closer to 300 million. So 300 million, $175 million budget. I don't see how 300 million is break even. So not really sure what figure to believe there, to be honest. Supergirl is projected to stall at a lifetime gross of $100 million domestically and 200 million to 210 globally. So I think in the current figures as of 7th of July, 6th of July, in America, it's about 100 million in total. So it's halfway to this prediction. If the movie reaches these metrics, and that would require a decent hold. So a decent hold, I assume that means that people need to sort of keep going. It needs to not drop off. Supergirl stands to lose 100 million to 120 million in its theatrical run. A source familiar with the financials believes losses will be closer to 80 to 85 million. So that's a lot of money to lose in your second film of your extended universe. Sources close to the production say Supergirl has a lower break-even point than a typical film of this size because the cast and creatives don't have back-end deals. A-listers like Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga can negotiate first dollar gross, meaning that they receive a percentage of box office revenue. That's not the case with Supergirl, which stars House of the Dragon breakout Millie Alcock in her film debut. She was paid around $400,000. Is that it? That seems pretty low for a $175 million movie. To play the eponymous character, and would have received only a small box office bonus if the film were successful. I suppose you take the money and hope that it's successful. I'm sure that she'll be fine and go on to do other stuff. I mean, she was really good in House of the Dragon, so I don't think it's particularly her fault that it's failed. I don't think any comments that she's made about anything have really changed anything. Supergirl is the follow-up to last summer's Superman, which restarted the Warner Brothers-backed DC universe under the direction of James Gunn and Peter Safran. Buoyed by strong reviews, Superman, starring David Corenswet as the Man of Steel, launched to $125 million and eventually earned $618 million globally. These returns were deemed a hit. So $618 million, it's pretty good. It's a basically unimaginable amount of money for most people. But really, I think for Superman, for Batman, for characters of that sort of size and prestige, anything less than $1 billion is questionable. But that's just for me. Maybe other people would disagree. After the debut of Superman, Warner Brothers Discovery's CEO David Zaslav championed the bold 10-year plan of the new DC universe, saying the vision is clear, the momentum is real. Yet that kind of celebration may have been premature. I think so, yes. Supergirl underscores the real challenges that come with building an interconnected film franchise, especially one that's attempting to rival Disney's MCU. Yeah, so it's unusual, I think. It's strange that no one in other film companies, or even in Disney itself, seem to have studied what the early MCU did, how they kind of slowly built it up through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And I think what they did, particularly in phase 1, is they just concentrated on making decent movies, and the interconnectedness kind of came later, I think. I mean, obviously by sort of post-Endgame, that kind of fell apart, and you have all these random post-credit scenes that are probably never going to get picked up. But early on, it was just a case of make good movies. That's it, make good individual movies. Before the pandemic, superhero movies of all shapes and sizes were seemingly untouchable at the box office. Audiences would reliably buy a ticket no matter who was on screen. Case in point, Sony's 2018 Spider-Man spin-off Venom, which was saddled with comically terrible reviews, was a juggernaut with $856 million worldwide. Yeah, Venom, I mean, it's not the greatest movie ever, but it's fun. It's trying to actually entertain. I think people who make movies seem to have forgotten that it's a point of entertainment for people. People want to forget their lives for a couple of hours and they want to have some fun. So Venom 2018, $200 million more than Superman last year. That's how bad things have got. That's how poor quality the movies have become in just a very short time. Venom is technically a bigger star than Superman now. As moviegoers have become more selective about their costumed heroes, even the MCU has struck out in post-COVID times, with films that centre on lesser-known heroes, including 2025's Thunderbolts or Captain America Brave New World. So Thunderbolts, there were aspects of it I really liked. It's probably my favourite post-Endgame movie. I thought Thunderbolts was about lost opportunities. There was definitely things I didn't like about it, but I could see where it could have gone right. Whereas Captain America Brave New World, I fell asleep. Captain America Brave New World was terrible. We've seen so many superhero movies, but I hesitate to label it as fatigue, says Sean Robbins, director of movie analytics at Fandango. It's a fatigue of seeing the same type of movies. Audiences don't inherently want superheroes to be part of a universe. They want to see something different. Okay, so part of a universe, I presume he's talking about the movies being interconnected. Yes, I agree with him here. Audiences don't care about that. Maybe that can come later, but what Hollywood needs to do is make good movies where they actually care about the audience, where they want to entertain the audience, not lecture them about something, not insert any messaging. The poor start for Supergirl doesn't mean it's over for DC Studios or superhero adventures in general. Marquee characters, the Batman, Deadpool and Wolverine, remain wildly popular. Sony's Spider-Man Brand New Day, a sequel to No Way Home, Avengers Doomsday, are expected to be two of the year's highest grossing releases. Brand New Day, I'm kind of looking forward to it. Doomsday doesn't sound great, will probably make a lot of money though. There will always be superhero movies, but genres ebb and flow over time. We're entering an era where superhero movies are going to be more selectively produced. Hallelujah. That sounds really good. When studios do greenlight movies about comic book characters who aren't household names, they'll need to economize on the production budget and marketing spend. Analysts say a film about Supergirl can't cost the same amount as Batman or Superman, the biggest A-listers. Yeah, this is the difference. People want Batman. People want a good Superman movie, a Superman movie filled with hope. They're less interested in the more minor characters. One reason that 2019's billion-dollar smash Joker was so profitable was because the origin story about the notorious villain was made for just $62 million. Box office watchers are encouraged that DC's next effort, the body horror film Clayface, carries a modest $40 million production budget. Yeah, I think that sounds much more sane. Maybe if Supergirl could have been made for $40 million, people would have lower expectations of it. Superhero movies can still be marketable, but studios need to ask themselves, are casual moviegoers going to our film? When you're spending $150 million to $200 million, it needs to feel culturally inevitable. Yeah, I like culturally inevitable. That's a nice phrase. So you need to know that people are going to turn up. And what are people going to turn up for? It's going to be Batman. It's going to be Wonder Woman. stuff like that. Otherwise, smaller films with less risk is the way to go. To emphasize how poorly Supergirl has done, here from DC Film News, Supergirl is reportedly targeting a July 28th digital release, just over 30 days after its theatrical debut. So that's just over 4 weeks from being in the cinema to not having to leave your house to watch the movies. That's how bad Supergirl has done. That's how much of a disaster it has been. Thanks for watching.